Friends, today's topic is contract and its classification, which is in your legal aspects of business. First, we'll see contract. A contract is an agreement that can be enforced in court. A contract may be formed when two or more parties, each parties promise to perform or to refrain from performing some act now or in the future. A party who does not fulfill his or her promise may be subject to sanction including damages or some circumstances being required to perform the promise. Now we'll see classification of contract. Classification will be made on three bases. One is formation, next one is performance, and then execution. According to the mode of formation of contract classified into three parts, that is express contract, implied contract and quasi contract. Express contract is said to be an express contract if the term of a contract are expressly agreed upon the parties, either by word spoken or in written at the time of formation of a contract. An express promise results in express contract. A promise is said to be an express promise when the offer or acceptance of any promise is made in words. That is express contract. Then the next type is implied contract. Here, implied contract is one for which the proposal or the acceptance is made otherwise than in words. Where the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made otherwise than in words, the promise is known as implied promise. Implied contract are inferred from the circumstances of the case and the conduct of the parties. For example, we can say that when a person takes a cup of milk in hotel, he have to pay the hotel bill. That is the contract which is implied. So the next type of contract is quasi-contract. A quasi-contract which is created by law. In quasi-contract, there is no intention on either side to make a contract. In quasi-contract, rights and obligation arises not by an agreement but the operation of law. For example, we can say where certain letters delivered to a wrong addressee. In that case, the addressee is under an obligation to return the letter. Next type is classification on the performance. Here, the contract is classified on two types. One is unilateral contract and the other one is bilateral contract. Unilateral contract means it is a contract which is performed by one side. In unilateral contract, only one party has to satisfy his obligation at the time of formation of it. The other party having fulfilled his obligation at the time of contract or before the contract comes in existence. For example, we can say a person takes a public auto to go for Mount Road. A contract comes into existence as a person was jobbed in Mount Road. By the time automan has fulfilled his obligation. Here, he has to fulfill his obligation, that is, he has to pay the amount to an automan. This type of contract is known as unilateral contract. The next one is bilateral contract. A contract is said to be bilateral contract where the obligation of both the parties to a contract are pending at the time of formation of a contract. For example, we can say A promises to stitch a blouse and O promises to pay ₹1,000 for stitching the blouse. Here, A promises to stitch the blouse and O promises to pay the amount. Thus, each party has to fulfill their obligation. Here, one party is a promiser and the other party is a promisee. Next type of contract is classification based on execution. In this, it has to be divided into two parts. One is executed contract and other one is executory contract. Executed is a contract is said to be executed contract when both the parties to a contract have performed their obligation. So here both the parties have performed their obligation. So this is called as executed. Both the persons are performed their obligation. The next one is executory contract. Executory contract is one which is either wholly unperformed or something remains in there to be done by both the parties to a contract. Sometimes a contract may be a partly executed or partly executory. So these are the various types of contract. Thank you. Happy learning.